So today we're here in our favorite place, the Junkyard. This is the pick-a-pull in El Paso off Montana. And for us, this is the place to go to get most of our parts, especially on the XJ build. So what we're here is, we're looking for an 8.8. Now, there are a bunch of places you can go and get an 8.8. They're underneath the Mercury Mountaineer, they're in Mustangs, there's some under F-150s. But our favorite place to get them from is the Explorer. And we want to get it from a 96 and newer model. And the reason being is we have disc brakes, and you know, that's just superior over our drum brakes. Now, being in West Texas, it really helps us out because there's almost no rust on most of the stuff. Coming from somebody that lives up north and the LT from being up north, pretty much if it's a year-old, the bolts are rusted on. If it's 2 years old, bring a torch. If it's 3-year-old, just use an impact and cut the damn thing off. Down here, this is a 96, and underneath this one is the axle that we want. Okay, so what we're looking for is a gear ratio of 373 with the L in it, and this tag over here, where it says synthetic oil only. Now, as you can see, this is a 96. There's no rust on it. This is going to be a limited slip differential. Now, pay very close attention to these numbers right here. The goal that we're looking for his XJ is 373. So that's what we're going to be looking for, 373. And this is the axle that we're going to choose. The other axles that you may also see is 355s, 327s, and there's a numerous other ones out there. Keep in mind this tag, okay? Keep in mind this tag. This tag, if somebody has removed this cover before, may or may not be on there. So before you actually pull the whole axle, just take this off, verify that it is a limited slip. Sometimes people will take this off, they'll put this tag back on, but they don't put this one back on. If you don't see this, and it's just like this one from the factory, it means it's an open differential. Okay, so we're pulling these axles from the Junkyard. So while we're here, we're just going to go ahead and set ourselves up for success in the beginning. This is a passenger side brake caliper, and if you see this cable, the way it bends back and connects in, this is what we're wanting for the other axle, because we're going to use our stock brake lines from the actual XJ. The hard line runs all the way across. Now on the 8.8s, they have like this Y fitting where it comes down and it goes up, and that's not going to be used on our vehicle. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off the right side, and we're going to go to another vehicle and pull off this left side. We're going to mount it, because we're going to pay for the whole axle, but we're just going to go ahead and set ourselves up with the necessary brake cable from the beginning. This right here is the Y fitting that I was just mentioning. This is what we're going to replace. So just for clarification, this is what the driver's side looks like. This is what the passenger side looks like. So before we started pulling it, we pulled the plug, checked for water, checked for, you know, metal flakes in the oil, came out good. Went ahead, sway arm, brackets off, upper control arm brackets, these two little brackets. When it comes to the emergency brake cables, since you're not going to be using these, just take a big crescent, stick it down in here and hit it with a hammer, and it'll just push that right past. And once you get it off, get it outside of that bracket. This is a 13. Just take a 13, put it up over there, give it a little push, and out pops your cable. Now, to complete our rear end Junkyard parts grab, what we're going to do is pick up some emergency brake cables off of a Jeep Grand Cherokee, a 95 and newer, because that's where they switched over to the disc brakes in the rear, as you can tell there. And these cables right here are going to be perfect for our XJ build. You could go out and buy these new, but you're going to pay about twice as much. And generally, there's nothing wrong with any of these cables here, unless you're way up north and you have to deal with an extremely amount of rust. Alright, other things you need to get for your 8.8 swap is an adapter flange. Now, you notice how this flange is cut versus the original 8.8 one. It's slightly skinnier
for your universal joint to sit in. If you try to use the factory one, you'll notice that there's a gap on both sides. Now, these are only like 50 bucks. You can even get them some places cheaper, so it's probably just better to go ahead and spend the 50 bucks, buy an actual one that has the proper length, and that way you can make sure that your driveline vibration is kept to a minimum.